This is a thinner watch. This is a smaller watch. It's a much more badder looking watch. It's a brand new watch from Phoibos. It's the Voyager version 3. This has been sent out to the channel, guys, and we're going to check it out today. It's quite interesting. It's gained a few areas. It's lost a few areas. Let's check it out. Hey ho, hee ha ho, welcome back to the channel, guys. That's the intro I used for the last Phoibos Voyager, the version 2. As you can see here, we've got the Phoibos Voyager. This is the version 3. I reviewed the version 2 and it would have been great to have the version 2 right here next to me so I can actually compare the two, but unfortunately I gave that watch away in a 25,000 subscriber giveaway, and Song Serenade, the gentleman contacted me basically a week and a bit ago, and I sent it off. It would have been, I should have held off. I should have held off to have both watches so I can do a comparison, but it's on its way to Canada. We've got this thing here. It's a brand new watch. It's actually changed. They've changed the version 3 in quite a few areas, substantial areas, and I'll explain those. So let's get stuck into it. What we have is a case diameter. I measure exactly 39 millimeters. The case height comes in at 13.9 mil. The lug to lug distance is exactly 45 mil and a lug width of 20. Now the specs from the previous version, the version 2, was a 40 mil watch. This is 39. And the case height on the previous was 14 mil to the top of that sapphire. This one comes in at 13.9, although their specs say 13.5. So the best I can get out of this guy's height-wise is 13.9. But the crown itself is a 6.3 millimeter crown, screw down, sign, and the weight comes in at 157 grams, size to my 18 centimeter wrist. Now on the wrist, as you can see, the watch sits perfectly. I've got an 18 centimeter wrist and 39 mil with a 45 millimeter lug to lug, not an issue whatsoever. The height, 13.9, it gets absorbed, it's quite nice, but the comfort on that bracelet is very, very nice. They've got a beautifully finished milled clasp, really nice. It tapers to the actual wrist and the comfort, no problems. Speaking of that bracelet, it hasn't changed from the original. It's still 20 mil, tapers down to 17.8. You've got your milled clasp and twin triggers to release, and they still offer 3 micro adjustments. So same as before, as well as screw pins to be able to remove those links. Now the only thing I've found, that I've had this on the last micro adjustment all week. I haven't adjusted because I found that putting it in there, in the middle one, it's a little bit tight, and there is just perfect. It just seems to be perfect. It is summer here in Melbourne, so the wrist is swelling a little bit on and off, so that's been quite ideal for me. Now the first thing you've probably noticed is the colorway of this watch. As you can see, it's beautiful. It's yellow. For me this is beautiful. I love what I'm seeing here. The legibility has been really, really nice. Each marker and hand, they're all outlined in black. Even that date wheel is outlined, and a color match date wheel. I think design wise and the negative space, they've done really, really well. So as far as what this looks like in the flesh, in the hand, it's been a real pleasurable experience. They've offset that with a high gloss black ceramic bezel insert, and it's also lume filled. There's 15 layers of BGW9 Superluminova on those hands, indices, as well as those markers, those bezel markings. So, but getting back onto that bezel, let's have a look at that action. And as you can see, I'm having a bit of a difficult situation trying to turn this, and this is what I found from the version 2 as well. The bezel was very stiff, so they've not changed that bezel action. It's still the same. There's hardly any backplay, which is good, but the action itself is quite stiff. As far as lining up, this one lines up perfectly. So that was one of my gripes of the original version 2, that the bezel was a little bit stiff, and I'm finding that the action on this is exactly the same, albeit it's a smaller watch. It's a 39 compared to a 40. The sapphire dome crystal, it's a double dome, again the same sort of layout, 3 layers of anti-reflective coating. I've not had issues with legibility. Ideally 1 or 2 extra layers of AR would be nice, but in real practice, in outdoor scenario situations, it's been great. I think the fact that you've got a yellow dial as well as those black outline markers and hands, the legibility has not suffered. I've not had dial washout whatsoever. Now, I did mention that the watch has gained in areas and lost in other areas, and some of the areas obviously we've just explained it's lost is the size. It's a 39mm compared to a 40, and it's a tad thinner, but it's also lost, unfortunately, some of the water resistance. The original was 300 meters and this is 200, and again, are we ever going to go down 200 meters or even 100 or even 50 meters with our watches? 99.9% of us usually don't. So, but just bearing note, I'm just mentioning that for transparency's sake, so you know that you're getting a 200 meter dive style watch as compared to a 300. The watch also still offers a 2-year warranty, which is good. They're prepared to back their product, which is a wonderful thing. Now, the movement in the watch has remained the same. It's the NH35, strong and reliable. Let's unscrew that crown. As we can see, we can pull it out twice. We can hack that movement and adjust the time. There you go. Lock that in, movement starts. One single click will adjust the actual date, 10th, 11th, 12th. Again, away you go. The winding experience is quite nice, and the latch down experience, latches on first time. There you go, you've got 200 meters of water resistance. Now, turning the watch over, as you can see, we've got a stamped King Octopus on the back of that case back. All of its markings, really nice, very, very toolish. I like the feel of it. I like the embossing. It feels good. The other main difference that I've noticed of the watch, and again, going from memory, is that I remember the other one was gloss, or polished, I should say, in areas. This one seems to be matte brushed in most of the areas. So there is a little bit of bling has been reduced, which is nice. I like that. The bracelet has pretty much remained the same. You've got satin brushing on the outside, high polished centers. But on this one, you've got satin on the outside as well, on the edge of the actual bracelet. The other one was polished. So ideally, there has been quite a few upgrades, downgrades, whatever you want to call them. But as far as the experience on the wrist, I've actually really enjoyed this. I've been alternating between, I've had the watch for probably the better part of several weeks. And I've delayed in doing the review because I've had so many other watches that I've been alternating through it. But in saying that, I've actually been wearing this on alternate days for the past 2 and a bit weeks. So it's been on and off the wrist only because I've enjoyed it. Only because I've enjoyed its color, its legibility, its size. It's been comfortable. So even though I'm reviewing other watches at the moment, which I might wear a watch for a total of 5 days, this one here, I've actually probably worn it for the better part of the 2 weeks, on and off, on and off. So it's been a real good experience on the wrist. That's a big plus. Now, let's have a quick look at the Lume shot. Like I said, it features 15 layers of BGW9 on the hands, indices, and on those bezel markings. The Lume is very clean, very bright, and again, long lasting. No different from the original, the version 2. I didn't have an issue with that Lume either. So very, very nice. Well done to Phoibos. So what are the potential negatives or positives of this watch? Well, for me, honestly, guys, the number one on top of that list is again that bezel. I've got a dual time zone, as you can see, 1 to 11 plus that pip. Very nicely laid out. I like it that I can use it for different time zones, but it's like now, it's relatively easy to move, and I get to a certain section, there, it's stiff, it's really hard to move, and that's the exact same problem that I found from the version 2. So that stiffness in the bezel hasn't been addressed. I think, look, how many times do we use our bezels? I use it a lot. On all my watches, I find that I use that bezel quite a bit, so something to note. Negative or potential negative number 2 is the fact that they've lost 100 meters of water resistance. It used to be a 300, now it's a 2. But again, even 200 meters is substantial. Where are you going to use a watch like this? Are we ever going to take it into the depths of the ocean? For me personally, never. And I think a lot of us don't use our watches for that purpose. And again, 200 meters is ample, more than sufficient. The third potential negative is those specs say that the height is 13.5. The best I can get out of this is 13.9 to the top of that sapphire, and it would have been nice to be about 13.5, 13.2, just a little bit of a thinner profile, especially coming in at 39. That would have been better, but not a deal breaker, just mentioning it for transparency's sake. Now the positives, well, the fact that it is 39, I love it. It's been really pleasurable on the wrist, a real comfortable experience, and I've found that I've been appealing to this over other brands. I've been taking those watches, reviewing them, and putting this back on throughout the day just to sort of muck around. I've been enjoying this wearability and the size experience and the legibility, which is good. Positive number 2, that dial color I love the yellow. I think it's very reminiscent of some of the Seikos that I've seen in the past. Look, legibility works, and there's another positive, that legibility works brilliantly. From the fact that you got a good contrast between those. Underwater, this looks great. The Lume is amazing. The Lume is brilliant, so they've done a really good job and maintained a good job there. And the last positive of this watch is that date wheel. It stays true to form, it's color matched, it's beautiful. I can see it very clearly. It's been not an issue, especially outdoors. The color of that dial is just so inviting. It really does look nice on the wrist, and it's a fun watch. But the fact that they've got different colorways, check out their website. I'll leave the links in the description. As for price, I'm not actually quite sure, but I estimate this is going to definitely come in under $300 for sure. I'll leave a link in the description. I've also got a discount code that they've given me to give you guys 10% discount, so you use that code, feel free. Let me know your thoughts, guys. This is the new Phoibos Voyager version 3. I've been enjoying it. Would have been great to have a slightly better bezel. They haven't changed it from the original version 2, but albeit apart from that, a really decent offering, especially for the price. Thanks again for watching, guys, and we'll see you all in the next video.